Hey good people, hola mi gente, MsMalcolmHughes here. Welcome back. Today we are going to do a book review, and the book is The Perfect Find by Tia Williams. I have so many thoughts about this book, but let's just get into it. So for this book review, I am going to start with what the book is about, what I liked about it, what I did not like about it, and whether or not you should read it. Let me start by saying that where I will rate this book and the review that I will give this book may not align. Let's talk about it. First things first, what is the book about? The Perfect Find is about Jenna Jones, a woman who is in her early 40s who has gone through a horrific relationship ending. It feels like a divorce. They've been together for so long. We meet her when she moves back to New York to pick up the pieces. She has since fled to her family's home in Virginia to hide away from the shame of her life falling apart. But she is a vet in the fashion game. She used to be on top of that world, but now she's back in New York working for her arch nemesis, taking on a position that's well beneath her with a pay grade that's less than she was making when she first started out in her career, just because she desperately needs a second chance. She needs to start over, she needs to rebuild her life, and she needs to prove to herself that she can still be herself without the support of her longtime partner Brian, who she had to leave because their lives were seemingly growing in different directions, and what he was offering her was no longer enough, and what he believed she desired did not align with what she truly wanted in that moment. And so when we meet her, again, she's back working for Style magazine, trying to help. There was it's like Style Zine, it's an online type of magazine. This is like the early 2010s. Things are really taking off. The internet is really starting to build up, so we're watching her navigate that in her new position, where this is the expectation of her to have an online presence, and she doesn't even know what that means. So we watch her navigate that and everything that comes with trying to rebuild your life, whether that's professionally. So she has professional, romantic, personal. She's trying to get her life back. That is the premise of the book. Now, the book wouldn't be a book if that was all that happens. Of course, she underwent a horrific breakup, so she's trying to get back out there, right? She hasn't been intimate in a very long time, and so she's out and about. I don't want to spoil it completely, but she meets this younger man. They have an instant connection. Lo and behold, it turns out to be Darcy, her arch nemesis son. In addition to that, they work together. So you can imagine all of the drama that comes with that. So that's the one of the really big challenges of this book. Will they, won't they, should they, shouldn't they, what does it all mean? Again, now getting into what I liked about the book. What I liked about the book is the storyline. I did find it engaging, but for me, it was very much The Devil Meets Prada meets Brown Sugar, if in Brown Sugar, instead of hip hop, it was film. If you put those two together, mesh them, meld them, like weld them together, you get the premise of this book. Darcy is not a good person, but she's a captivating character. Though I do feel like she was a static character. She didn't really change or evolve much, but she was a convincing villain. And her son, more than anybody else, sees her for who she truly is. And so I did like the intimacy, the connection, the passion between Jenna, our main character, and Eric, Darcy's son, who is her love interest. I love that it was organic. I love that it was magnetic to individuals who, for all intent and purposes, wanted to fight it, but why, right? When you feel a connection that's strong, why fight it? It was believable. I definitely believed the plot. I believed the storyline. I liked that it was a good mix of character-driven, but also plot-driven. I liked the minor characters. I really enjoyed Jenna's friends. I adored Eric's friends, especially Tim and his relationship with Carlita. And then I appreciated how when all of those worlds meshed together at a specific dinner scene, how hilarious and entertaining it was, and just authentic. You could see all of this transpiring in a real way, and it's for someone who likes to host events, parties, home gatherings, you know, intimate with my friends, and they invite friends. Things can go left quick, so I appreciated the reality of it all. And so yeah, I liked the background between Brian and Jenna. I liked that we got to get a little bit of them as they were younger. I liked their progression into adulthood. I liked that we could see how they could have grown apart, and it was realistic. I don't always agree with the pacing of which things transpired, but we'll get to that when I get to my dislikes. I also like the dialogue. Dialogue is really important for me. I like for it to feel natural and authentic and true to characters, and I felt that. I have a caveat to that, but for the most part, I enjoyed it. Those are what I like. The writing was good. You could tell. I wouldn't say this is Tia Williams' best work. This is only the second book I've read of hers, but I did enjoy the story progression in 7 Days in June more, but we're not comparing those two works. All in all, I think that this was a solid work, and I really appreciated it. I actually, this is why it's gonna be funny when you get to the end of this video, but I found myself during the last couple of chapters of this book, I cried twice. Surprising to me, because I felt invested in these characters, but not as much to warrant me crying. But it happened twice, and it was for Eric both times. My heart went out to Eric, man. It just did. I don't want to give too much away, but it went out to Eric, and I felt all that he felt. And you know, sometimes we relate to things from our own places in life, but so historically, I think younger me could identify with Eric. So I appreciated that too, the ability to be able to connect with the characters. So those are my pros of the book. Let's get into what I didn't like so much. So one thing I said was that I enjoyed the dialogue. However, toward the end, specifically, there's a scene between Darcy, Jenna, and Eric in which Eric says a line that actually no, they're in the conference room. It's all of them with their colleagues, and Eric says a line that I don't believe he would have said. It felt like it was inserted for comical release. If you read the book, I'll just say he says the BSECH word, and it's not that Eric wouldn't say that word. It's in the context, the way he used it. It felt like forced comedic relief. I did not like that. It felt inauthentic to the character. But generally speaking, the dialogue was good, but that is one qualm that I had, so that was something I disliked. Also, as far as just the complete overview of our characters, sometimes I didn't feel like we got enough. I do think that for Jenna and Brian, I understood their relationship, but I don't know if I always got enough other than time of really understanding Brian's stance when it came to Jenna. They explain it at the end. It is explained. It is worked out. But it didn't feel like enough. Maybe we needed to see more of Jenna's suffering. Maybe we needed to see more of Brian's distance. I understood it. I don't think it's unrealistic. I just think that I didn't have the emotional response that I should have had, and maybe that was the intent. Maybe our main character was over it, and we should have been over it as well. But I just think that in order to understand the full depth of that relationship, why Jenna feels the way she does, why Brian is trying to get her back so much, and then why the mother's death triggers so much, I think that I needed to see more. She told me, but I do think it was one of those rare instances where I needed to be shown. And I do think, generally speaking, she does a good job of balancing that. But for that relationship in particular, because so much time is spent on Jenna and Eric, which I loved. I do feel like I needed more. Also, I liked the ending. And this is actually a compliment to the writer. I did enjoy the ending. If you follow my channel, you know I have a thing about endings. I did feel like the ending was good. It wrapped everything up while still leaving it open. However, I wanted more. I wanted to see what would happen next. I just wanted it to be more. And also one thing with this book, I feel like it could have been longer. Maybe it was the editing, but there was just so much happening that I was like nervous at certain points when I was getting closer to the end. I was like, there's not enough pages to wrap this up, right? Like I would fill the pages, but she did some miraculous things to make connections happen. So I think that was well done. The ending was good, even though I could have read more of the book. I don't like the fact that the characters sometimes felt static. Like I don't feel like we saw them grow, Darcy in particular. Maybe we just needed more of her story. We got it from others' perspectives, but why is she such a villain? I don't feel like there was enough humanity to her. I feel like we needed more. Like there was really no compassion for her, and we don't really get an update on her. So I feel like we needed that because she was such a key figure in both of our main characters' lives. That's Jenna and Eric. So I feel like that was a flaw. But those are my issues with the book. Overall, the storyline was fine. The characters were good. The dialogue was good. The pacing was fine for the most part. So no huge qualms on my end with the book. But I did find that, though I did like the passion and the storyline was fine, I didn't find myself like, ooh, I can't wait to pick this book back up. I didn't fly through it. And that's good because I wanted to take my time and I wanted to really sit with it so that when the movie comes out, I can compare the two. But overall, I did enjoy it. I wasn't mad at it. It was an enjoyable read with characters that who I care about, that I would read again. If she came out with a part 2, I would read it. So that is saying something. And I'm gonna rate it now. And I've said that I've cried 2 times watching, like I cried twice reading this book, which surprised me. So in the end, I feel like she really brought it home in a way that I didn't anticipate. But overall, if I were to rate this book, based on my scale of read now, read when you have time, or read if you want, I would put this as a read when you have time, but read it now in preparation for the movie. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I would be like telling anyone you have to read this book, but I also wouldn't tell anyone not to read it. And depending on the type of books that a person is into, I may actually recommend this book for them. But it's not one of those universal books where I go out and tell everyone you have to read this book. So I would say read it, and I would say read it when you have time. Wouldn't necessarily knock anything off of your reading list to get to it sooner. So that's my review of this. The book that I will get back to reading now that I finished this one is The Street by Ann Petrie. That review should be coming in the future. But that's it for me. As always, I am MsMalcolmHughes, one who believes that books are sometimes better than people. And until the next one, please remember to give time, to be kind to each other, and to have the best day of your life on purpose. Peace, o lavo, adios, ciao.